March and April are the season of the Fool here at Narrative Arcade. In the previous video we delved into the Fool triumphant genre, so the time has come to take a look at the most famous Fool ever written. Yeah, this video took longer than expected. Both Naruto and Naruto Shippuden have a unique story structure that is reflected in Naruto's first and last name. So we'll take a look at what this structure is, how to write for it, and how the character web functions as its main driver. Because both anime have one of the strongest character webs I've ever seen, allowing Naruto to go on the perfect Fool's journey. Hence I'll also show you how to create and utilize a proper character web. Additionally, I'll also showcase how Naruto's journey is a great representation of Taoism. And finally, we'll do a deep dive into the shinobi world and its constant state of warfare and fragile peace, because the world that Kishimoto created mimics the framework laid out by John J. Mearsheimer in The Tragedy of Great Power Politics. Yeah, this channel is run by a lunatic, so might as well go all out with the analysis here. Needless to say, there will be massive spoilers ahead. Hit the like and subscribe, it helps to get the word out. And the machine, it enjoys it like Hollywood producers enjoy their Bolivian marching powder. So let's not waste any time and jump into Ninjas! The show!
I may not be the best ninja. I may not be one with the universe. But I will tell you this. No one messes with my brother!
Welcome to the rice fields, motherfucker!
Before we begin, there are a few things I need to clarify. The first being the question of filler. Filler or no filler? No filler. I'm omitting all the filler for a couple of reasons, besides the obvious one that filler isn't part of the dramatic arc of the core story. And that's what we are all about here, a complete dramatic arc. Filler also hurts the pacing and consequently the pacing of this video, but most importantly, it creates inconsistencies in the story. Also, once you remove the filler, midpoints and plot beats become apparent as they mimic exactly what's laid out in the manga. Next up is image quality. The original series is obviously not available in HD, and so I resized the image by 200%, presented to you in this frame within a frame format. And lastly, the question of dub. Now, I personally watch only subs, since dubs change too much of the flavor for me. Plus, I just love the pronunciation of English words.
Patrol, opener!
But for a better viewing experience, I'm gonna show you the dub here, unless the sub makes more sense in terms of translation. There is no perfect way, well, other than learning Japanese, I guess. Something is always lost in translation otherwise. I mean, you guys should watch the German version of Saw. Even with the English dub, it's just weird.
Let's play a game. Your addiction to the poison you willingly inhale betrays a fundamental disregard for the precious gift of life. I offer you a chance at redemption with a focus on air. Your mask is equipped with a microphone, and the only escape lies in the pronunciation of a few simple words. You have 60 seconds to put those lungs to use.
We open the first episode with what's going to become the focal point for the entire show. Both shows, actually. The ninja village, Konohagakure or Hidden Leaf Village, is attacked by a giant nine-tailed fox. The rampage is stopped by the fourth Hokage. Hokage being a blend of mayor and military commander of the village. He sacrifices himself to seal the nine tails inside his newborn son, Naruto Uzumaki. Since his earliest memories, Naruto has endured the villagers' skepticism and mistrust, including that of fellow children for being a Jinchuriki. A Jinchuriki is someone who has a tailed beast sealed inside them. As childhood trauma goes for shonen protagonists, I give this 3 out of 10 mock execution Dostoevskys. Remember, we don't talk about the 9s and 10s on YouTube. So in a bid for attention, Naruto adopts the archetype of the fool.
Come back here when I get my hands on you! You crossed the line this time, Naruto!
Whether painting over Konoha's version of Mount Rushmore, or inventing custom jutsus like his sexy jutsu, all his antics are designed to provoke reactions from his elders, even when he does not understand why. One thing anime and manga handle quite different from Hollywood is character motivations, or the actual character spine that I keep talking about on this channel. Hollywood screenwriting conventions are strict but straightforward. Ideally, everything needs to be show, don't tell, including character motivations. This is why Denis Villeneuve. Hold on. What do we got here? It's Villeneuve English. There we go. Newtown or Newton? Welcome to America, Dennis Newton. This is why Dennis Newton made headlines by suggesting he hates dialogue. He considers it a corrupting force within cinema. But good storytelling and dialogue are not mutually exclusive. That's where anime and manga comes in, and plenty of Hollywood movies actually. Anime uses show don't tell as well, but on top of that, the story spells it out for us, including character motivations. At this point, it's become a literal meme that two anime characters will duke it out on the edge of the world while yelling their ideologies at each other. The reason this still works is because of something John Truby calls symphonic dialogue. You see, bad dialogue is like a monotrack, it's just one melody. Good dialogue is like a symphony and runs on 3 tracks: story dialogue, moral dialogue, and keywords or phrases. And so instead of me just regurgitating what all Naruto characters spell out for us, I'll show you how Kishimoto got there in the first place. What needs to be done if you want to create such a vast, multi-layered universe with this many characters, and have the dialogue work in your favor? How do you get to this so-called symphonic dialogue? Well, for Naruto, the first hint lies in Naruto's name. In my video Why No One Knows How to Adapt Halo for Screen, I explained the various storytelling types as laid out by Blake Snyder. What I did not tell you is that this is just one way to organize all of storytelling. John Truby has his own way, and since the entirety of Anatomy of Story is inspired by an organic approach to storytelling, so is his version of story classification. He arranges stories according to basic patterns found within nature, and it all relates to how the plot unfolds. Linear stories are the most common ones. Meandering stories follow the path of rivers or snakes. Other types include branching stories, explosive stories, and finally, the one we'll dissect, spiral stories. And if you didn't know already, Naruto's name means maelstrom. And yes, his name is inspired by the fish cake on top of ramen noodles. But there are also the Naruto Straits, and Uzumaki means swirl or spiral. Their coat of arms is a spiral, and it's baked into the Hidden Leaf uniforms. A spiral story is one that keeps coming back to a singular event or focal point. Like a cyclone, we explore this focal point at ever-deepening levels until we discover the final layer of truth. So now that we know what shape Naruto's journey will take, it's time to identify what's going to drive it. Before we embark on even the first story arc, we need to find the fuel that's going to get us to the bottom of the cyclone. In order to get to the character web, we'll use John Truby's designing principle as laid out in the Anatomy of Story. It's what's going to help us identify the theme. With a proper theme, you can create a character web where no character is wasted. Everyone acts in service of the story, and that's where you want every story to be. We'll identify the designing principle for both Naruto and Naruto Shippuden. As per usual, we'll start with the premise. Naruto, an adolescent prankster ninja, struggles in a quest for recognition and dreams of becoming the Hokage. From the premise, you extract the designing principle. This is the basic action the hero will take through the course of the story. Naruto must develop his ninja skills and come to terms with a ruthless shinobi world while never compromising on his ninja way. The reason this is usually a very definitive statement is because it's the easiest way to ensure your story will make sense all the way to the end. If you know where your protagonist will end up, you simply backtrack all the steps to the beginning. This way, every scene and story builds up properly towards the climax. If you know what flaw your protagonist needs to overcome, you can avoid inconsistencies in your build-up. I use this method for my own screenplays, and it has served me well so far. Now, from here on, you try to find a proper theme. We'll do this after we get the designing principle for Naruto Shippuden, because I want to find a theme that's going to connect both, especially because many character arcs carry over and are completed in Shippuden. For Shippuden's premise, I got the following. Naruto, a teenage ninja and the ultimate fool, confronts a ragtag team of callous mercenaries as they force the shinobi world into war. With this, we can find the designing principle. Naruto must continue to develop his ninja skills as he battles a ragtag team of callous mercenaries while integrating his shadow to bring a friend back home. Yeah, it's a long one. I try to keep these down to one sentence because it's the through line connecting the entire story. With this you can avoid meandering or useless scenes. The designing principle should always have three elements: a protagonist, an obstacle, and a change, or the lack thereof. If there won't be a change, then you really must understand why to execute the story properly. With these you got your what and how, so now we need to find the why, which is the theme. Easy, right? Well, it's actually the toughest part of this entire exercise. It took me weeks watching both anime to figure out the theme. There are a couple things I want to clarify about the theme before I show you what I came up with. Something I missed to mention in my Halo and Attack on Titan videos is that every story has obviously multiple themes played out. This one singular theme serves a particular purpose. It fuels the character web. And subtext if you want to use subtext. While all the other themes will come about naturally as the plot unfolds, this is the one you'll use for a moral argument as laid out by John Truby. Once you have identified the moral argument, you lay out every possible permutation and every argument for or against it. Then you line up all your characters accordingly, each character serving one element of this moral argument on a moral compass. This is how we get to that symphonic dialogue I mentioned earlier. The opposite would be something like this.
You've got to do better, Senator.
God, I always forget that they managed to give a superhero the most unheroic and passive line imaginable. He sounds like a kindergarten nanny, and not the kind that inspires.
You're not gonna have your mommies run behind you anymore and wipe your little douches? Oh no, it's time now to turn this mush into muscles.
So in the case of Naruto and Shippuden, I needed to find a theme that fulfills two objectives. A. Cover every character. We are talking dozens of characters here that all need to be connected through one theme, be it in opposition or affirmation to each other. And B, the theme must allow for the Tao. Don't worry, I'll explain what Taoism is once we get to the nitty-gritty of every main story beat and how they manifest the Tao. So what I came up with is the following. The child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. On the surface, this feels like it ain't enough. But this theme acts like a Russian nesting doll. Baked into it is the individual, as well as every variation of the village. The village could be your clan or family, the village itself, the nation, and the world as a whole. And this statement also offers a pathway for the Tao, because what follows is obvious. What village does it take to prevent its own destruction? Or in other words, what warmth is necessary to embrace the child? That is all baked into this theme, and I'll show you how every character aligns with it. From the very first moment Naruto appears on screen, all the way to Madara, Hashirama, and the Sage of the Six Paths. So once we have the theme, we can create the moral compass, and it's going to look like this. The first two axes are fairly easy. Embraced by the village, rejected by the village. Embraces the village, rejects the village. This already covers a lot of characters. Now, Sasuke, Obito, Kabuto, Danzo, and Kaguya are extremes that needed their own space, so I added two absolutes. There is no village. There is only the village. Danzo and Kaguya are actually two sides of the same coin. I'll explain this once we get to the endgame of the entire story. The only person left is Itachi, and he caused me the biggest headache. Itachi is tricky because he's pitted against the village and his clan, who lives inside the village. And he's embraced by both as a child. Only once I got to the last two seasons did I realize where Itachi belongs on the compass. Right in the middle. Itachi's life is the consequence of the negation of the ideal village. The ideal village pulls all these elements into a perfect balance. The ideal village follows the Tao. But right now they're moving away from each other, so the consequence is Itachi. Built into this is also everyone's journey or arc. If a character does change, we know where to place them. One last thing I just want to mention is that this compass is just one way to do this. You can create the four-corner opposition map or just write everything down as a guideline, whatever gets you to the symphonic dialogue and a coherent story. Otherwise, we'll just get more of this.
You've got to do better, Senator.
With the pre-work done, we can finally take a look at the actual story. Now that we know what's going to fuel this cyclone, we can finally look at the framework behind it. What is inside the eye of the storm? Besides Naruto's antics and pranks, he's also quite inept and, well, a bit of a fool. Slow to adapt and usually full of energy to cause trouble. The trouble he causes, though, is never enough to actually get anyone's attention or acknowledgement. Most villagers simply ignore Naruto with a mix of apathy and frustration, and so Naruto's instructor Iruka-sensei flunks him. With this, Naruto is unable to graduate and become a ninja. The stakes are raised in the first episode when Naruto is baited by a rogue ninja into stealing the Scroll of Seals to get everyone's attention. a scroll with instructions on how to perform dangerous and forbidden jutsus like the multi-shadow clone technique. If a user were to create too many clones at once, they would die in the process. Iruka chases after Naruto, and it is here that he learns the truth about himself and the village. There is a decree by the third Hokage, who took over after the fourth's death, that prohibits anyone from telling Naruto the truth, that he has the nine-tailed fox sealed inside him.
The fox spirit that killed Iruka's parents and destroyed our village has taken over your body. You are the nine-tailed fox.
Thankfully, instead of turning his back on Naruto, Iruka realizes he has more in common with the kid than he thought. Iruka takes a huge risk to protect Naruto, which in turn gives Naruto the confidence to take out a rogue ninja with his newly learned jutsu. Naruto can use the jutsu safely because of his insane chakra pools. Impressed by Naruto having learned the difficult and dangerous jutsu, Iruka makes him officially a ninja. From here on, the world of Shinobi begins to open up, and we accompany Naruto on his journey to become the Hokage. First order of business is team formation. In order to obtain the rank of Genin and go on missions, graduates are organized in groups of 3. They must undergo a field test administered by a Jonin level ninja, who would become their captain should they pass. The third Hokage personally put the teams together. In a quest for balance, he forms Team 7 with the best student Sasuke and the worst student Naruto. And to further balance out the two extremes, he assigns Sakura to complete the trio. Naruto is pleased for being on the same team as Sakura but annoyed with Sasuke. Sakura is delighted to share the same team with Sasuke but is bothered by Naruto, and Sasuke views both as a nuisance. So we got the perfect triangle of unrequited love going. The situation gets worse once they realize who their Jonin is, Kakashi Hatake, the strictest Jonin captain out there who so far has failed every trio of students who attempted his field test. And his first impression of Team 7 isn't the best.
I got him! He totally fell for it!
Before they undertake the field test, Kakashi wants to learn more about everyone. He discovers fairly quick how single-minded everyone actually is. Naruto just wants to become the Hokage, with no clue how to get there. Sasuke is obsessed with killing one man, his older brother Itachi, who massacred the entire clan, leaving Sasuke as the sole survivor. And Sakura just keeps swooning over Sasuke. Not a great start, because the entire point of the field evaluation is to test their teamwork. The test itself is fairly straightforward. Take 2 bells from Kakashi within a time limit to pass. This means only 2 graduates can pass the test. However, this is just a ruse to test out whether the 3 can work as a team. A single Genin has no chance of taking a bell away from a Jonin, but if they work together, they just might. It is here that we get to my favorite aspect of most shonen anime, the exceptional handling of power level scaling. And I'm not referring to the arbitrary power measurements seen in the early seasons of Dragon Ball Z, where the Scouter was eventually discarded.
Vegeta, what does the Scouter say about his power level? It's over 9,000!
Instead, I mean the level scaling concerning character development. Many shonen revolve around the 3-generational framework. The main character, typically from the middle generation, about early to late teens, undergoes development influenced by the already established adult generation. Simultaneously, the middle generation's growth impacts the younger, subsequent generation. How Naruto develops will greatly influence youngsters like Konohamaru. While it may seem like a mere sales tactic on its surface, since 3 generations allow writers to create characters for everyone. This narrative structure is also incredibly potent. It allows for the simultaneous build-up of suspense and surprise, as even the most gifted heroes pale in comparison to the seasoned adults. This dynamic creates a Burkean narrative, a partnership involving the dead, the living, and the unborn. I wonder what Matt Walsh would say about this. This Burkean narrative is embedded in the phrase "the will of fire." It's the driving ideal behind the village's founding, that love is the key to peace. But the phrase is also what drives our 3-generational framework here. Because in order to prevent Naruto from burning down the village, several adults intervene. 3 men in particular play pivotal roles in shaping Naruto into the man destined to save the village and the world. This trio so far consists of Iruka Sensei, Kakashi Hatake, and later Jiraiya, a seasoned traveler and master ninja, part hermit, part professional erotica writer, but all-out pervert. Don't worry, this magnificent bastard will get his own segment. Despite their contrasting personalities, these three mentors impart essential lessons to align Naruto with both the mundane and the divine. And since Naruto himself embodies the full archetype, each teacher imparts wisdom contrary to their characteristics. Iruka, while not the most formidable ninja, instills in Naruto the values of forgiveness, empathy, and compassion, qualities that ultimately enable Naruto to emerge as the strongest, often persuading adversaries away from their destructive paths. Despite Kakashi's exceptional skills, his reputation is marred by chronic tardiness and a lack of interest in responsibility. Ironically, it is under Kakashi's guidance that Naruto learns the crucial lessons of discipline and self-control. And Jiraiya, infamous for his lecherous tendencies, equips Naruto with the tools necessary to align himself with the divine. The recurring pattern here is the number 3. 3 generations, 3 mentors, 3 legendary ninja, 3 classmates or team members. Once we get to the Tao, I'll explain why the 3 is so important here. And so our team of 3 attempts to take the belts. Sasuke and Sakura at least try to have some strategy, but not Naruto. He's gonna take Kakashi head on, and it goes exactly as you'd expect.
Leaf Village Secret Finger Jutsu! 1,000 years of death!
Oh come on, that's just a ridiculously long name for a jutsu. Let's try something different. How about the Deadline the Kid no Jutsu?
1,000 years of death!
Still too long. Oh, I think I got it now. Chomo no Jutsu!
1,000 years of death!
Ah, there we have it. And so of course Team 7 fails the first round of the field evaluation. Kakashi gives them a second and last chance. Try again in the afternoon after lunch, but Naruto is not allowed to have lunch because he broke the rules. He snuck away to have lunch before grabbing a bell from Kakashi. If they give Naruto food, all 3 will fail and be barred from becoming shinobi. But Naruto convinces the 2 to give him some food, as both can't stand seeing Naruto go hungry. Shortly after, Kakashi appears with a vengeance to tell them they have passed. As I mentioned before, the whole thing was a ruse to test their teamwork. Kakashi explains what is worse than scum.
In the ninja world, those who break the rules are scum. That's true. But those who abandon their friends are worse than scum.
This is the 5th episode, and by now almost everything is set up that's going to govern the rest of the entire series and Shippuden. The theme, 2 key phrases or elements of the symphonic dialogue, and Naruto's role. Technically, I would consider all the symbolism as part of the key phrases. We'll dive into that once we get to the Tao, because the last element comes with the Tao and it's the glue holding everything together. So what are the elements? We already know the theme, and the 2 key phrases are the will of fire and what makes a shinobi, as explained by Kakashi. Yes, a shinobi must live by honor and duty, but they're worse than scum if they abandon their friends. By now another element has crystallized, Naruto's role. Naruto is the ultimate fool, the ultimate 2-dimensional character. Remember what I said about fools in my Fool Triumphant video. The fool is an agent of change. They might never change themselves, but they will act as a vector of change for everyone around them. And we already get a hint here that Naruto has the ability to connect with people. Kakashi sees them acting as one, and hence why they pass his test. After obtaining the rank of Genin, Team 7 embarks on a proper C-rank mission. Escort Tazuna, a master bridge builder, to the Land of Waves. This is the start of our first arc. It's here that the larger world of Shinobi begins to open up, and we also solidify Naruto's role. As it turns out, the mission is actually a B-rank mission because hired assassins are trying to take out Tazuna, because he's building a bridge to revitalize the Land of the Waves economy. Gato, the cruel businessman behind the assassins, wants to prevent this because of the chokehold his company has on the country. The last man to stand up to Gato was humiliated and killed in public. So Gato orders 2 assassins, Zabuza and his boy wonder Haku, to take out Kakashi and Team 7. And so, like many fools before him, Naruto creates a positive feedback loop. Any people pushing against Naruto just further strengthen his convictions, and so in return, Naruto changes the people around him, inspiring the villagers to take up arms against Gato and his men, as well as changing Haku and Zabuza, who both end up realizing they are more than mere tools. Zabuza and Haku are rogue shinobi who rejected the village. Granted, they had good reasons for it given the insanity at the Hidden Mist Ninja Academy, but Zabuza never replaced it with something constructive. They rejected the idea of a village and viewed themselves as mere tools to be used and discarded. We also get a glimpse of the Nine Tails' power inside Naruto, and Kakashi reveals his Sharingan for the first time that allows him to copy an opponent's jutsu. Zabuza ends up taking out Gato, and in his final moments, he finds salvation in the bond he had formed with Haku. A sentimental relationship. That's what the Will of Fire means. It's those sentimental bonds formed between the people that keeps the village safe. If the Hidden Leaves is a flame, then Zabuza caught a glimmer of his own in his final moments. While they succeed here, things are only about to get worse for Team 7. The Chunin exam arc takes us into the second act of the original series. From here on, it's a continuous build-up towards the series midpoint. Lands across the shinobi world send their best gaining to participate. There are 3 stages, a written test, a survival course, and a tournament. If Naruto is an unstoppable force, then he's about to meet an immovable object, Orochimaru. This guy, or rather Snake, sits at the outmost extreme of the theme. There is no village, there is only me. After his parents died, Orochimaru became obsessed with immortality. He lives for one quest, to uncover every jutsu. He wants to unravel the secrets of the universe, unravel the very foundations of reality itself. And so one of his spies, Kabuto, joins the exam to gather intel on everyone, including intel for a potential new host body. Like a snake, Orochimaru has shed his old body and needs a new host every 3 years as the victim's body deteriorates. You know, there is easier ways to learn that there are no solutions, only trade-offs. Somebody should have given Orochimaru a Thomas Sowell book. And so after Naruto puts up a decent fight, Orochimaru seals the Nine-Tails chakra off, so Naruto can't rely on the beast's power-up. In a last-ditch effort, Sasuke awakens his Sharingan and Sakura does what most of us would do given the situation. Stand around and be useless. Seeing Sasuke as a potential new host, Orochimaru imprints the curse seal on him for 2 reasons. First, to test Sasuke's body, to see if it can withstand being taken over. And second, to corrode Sasuke's mind with the curse seal. This way he can take over a host more easily. The curse seal also boosts a victim's chakra and strength, which in return will be the very reason why Sasuke seeks out Orochimaru, to gain more power to kill his brother Itachi. Luckily for Team 7, Orochimaru retreats. There is a major change at this stage of the arc as well, and it falls on Sakura. Since both Sasuke and Naruto are out of commission, Sakura must finally step up and fight to protect them. It's the positive feedback loop in action. Naruto never surrenders, which in turn pushes Sasuke to new limits. If she wants to keep up, she has no choice but to push past her limits as well. Afterwards, Team 7 joins up with Kabuto. They do not know yet who he really is. To be fair, neither does Kabuto. And so we enter the final stage of the Chunin exam, the tournament. After winning the preliminaries his own way, Naruto will be confronted with 2 extremes which are actually 2 sides of the same coin, Neji and Gaara. Remember our theme, what is the ideal village? Well, it ain't the one Neji and Gaara live in. During the preliminaries there are several people who rise to the occasion, but I would argue that only Hinata changes this time. Hinata is shy, gentle and insecure, and she belongs to the main house of the Hyuga family, where she's expected to be anything but gentle and insecure. She's also in love with Naruto, and of course he has no clue. Hinata's opponent is Neji, who is her cousin and part of the branch house. Neji views Hinata as a failure and almost gets her to forfeit the fight. But the positive feedback loop is always active, and so Hinata chooses to fight.
Hinata! You just gonna stand there and take that? Do something! You're driving me crazy!
She fights until she almost dies from organ failure. And I think this is the core difference. Both Sakura and Ino gained more confidence, but they continue a path they were already on. Rock Lee is technically another 2-dimensional character, lacking an internal flaw. His inability to use ninjutsu is not the same as an internal flaw in a 3-dimensional character. Remember, 3-dimensional characters have a character spine, consisting of an internal need and an external want. Only when they overcome their need will they get their want. A 2-dimensional character continues the path of their external want and simply changes the character spine of the 3-dimensional characters around them. Rock Lee is no exception. Him pushing his physical limits is not the type of change Hinata goes through. Her flaw is that she is too shy and gentle in a world filled with ruthless shinobi. She needs to find a balance, which she does by taking Neji head on, facing death head on. This also shows Naruto that Neji means serious business. If he wants to defeat Neji, he will need to train much more. With a month between the preliminaries and finals, Naruto is about to meet a man destined to change him and the world of shinobi. Get your binoculars out, because the king of the peeping toms is here. As masters go, I would consider Jiraiya my personal favorite. Martial arts masters are usually eccentric kooks living on the margins, and Jiraiya is no exception. So to give us a quick rundown on Jiraiya, I have invited my good friend, the Gumption Guy.
Alright, you guys, Selvier just brought this dude to my attention, and he is the Gumption Guy of the day. First of all, this guy holds the Guinness Book of World Records for the most erotic novels ever published by one writer. Stephanie Meyerchick, she doesn't have a shit on this guy. This dude trained next to Orochimaru and Tsunade, and when his Hokage told him that he needed to be more like Orochimaru, gave him some stupid suggestion. You know what he did? He invented a new escape technique called the transparent escape, which he basically just used to spy on naked women. When I spy on naked women, it's completely frowned upon, but when this guy does it, he's applauded and rewarded. One time Jiraiya tried to summon an animal companion without a contract because, you know, who wants a paper trail, okay? And all that happened was he was sent to the Toad Realm. The last time I was in the Toad Realm, it was because of DMT. And naturally, he trained a bunch of sage skills over there and just became another master on a whole other level of the animal kingdom. This man's two greatest feats. He can use a ninjutsu to turn his hair into a porcupine-like spike, and he also survived spying on Tsunade. Nobody spies on Tsunade and lives. All of these things combined make Jiraiya the Gumption Guy of the day, reminding us all that you need to go out and develop your own special techniques.
After Naruto encounters Jiraiya for the first time, he of course refuses to train the kid. It's a very common story beat in almost every martial arts movie. The student must first prove himself worthy. And yeah, you probably guessed it already, Naruto uses his sexy jutsu to convince Jiraiya. And look, on a father figure scale between Son Goku and Danny Tana, I'm placing Jiraiya somewhere in the middle between Hawk from Over the Top and Uncle Phil. What? I'm still figuring out this metric. Remember, it can always be worse. Piccolo dropped Gohan in dinosaur territory, just to see if he's tough enough to be trained and... oh boy. As I mentioned before, Jiraiya is the one to align Naruto with the divine. He removes the seal placed on Naruto by Orochimaru and teaches him better chakra control and how to utilize the Nine-Tails chakra to summon a toad. At first, he's only able to summon a tadpole, but as he further taps into his chakra pools, he finally manages to summon a tadpole with legs.
You see? This one's got legs!
Great! Now just give it 2 arms and a brain and maybe I can train it!
Poor performance requires extreme incentive, and so Jiraiya pushes Naruto into a canyon, hoping that facing death head-on will allow Naruto to draw out more of the Nine-Tails chakra. I'm still not sure he knew this would actually work out, but luckily for the world of Shinobi, it did, and so Naruto summons Gamabunta. After passing out from an all-day long Toad Rodeo, Naruto wins Gamabunta's respect and is ready to take on his first opponent, Neji. The later confrontation is with Gaara, the Jinchuriki of the Hidden Sand Village. He has the One Tail sealed inside him and has been suffering from insomnia ever since. If he falls asleep, the beast takes over and goes on a rampage. Both Neji and Gaara are trapped in the outermost extreme of our theme. There is only the village. Neji is part of the Hyuga clan that holds the Byakugan, one of the most powerful eyes out there. Users have a near 360-degree field of vision and can see chakra pathways as well as enemies from miles away. To protect the Byakugan from falling into enemy hands, members of the branch houses are branded with a sealing technique by the main house. If they die, the Byakugan is sealed away and enemies can't study it. But the seal is also used to discipline members of the branch houses. This way they are forced to live in serfdom. The main house can use the seal to cause excruciating pain, and in the worst case, even frying a branch member's brain. As a quick side note, in the manga version, the seal is a counterclockwise running swastika. If you didn't know, the word swastika comes from Sanskrit and means conducive to well-being. Now, it might seem like some cruel joke, but it actually makes sense from the clan's perspective. It's all for the well-being of the clan and the village. There is no place for the individual. And so all of this has made Neji bitter, angry, resentful, and fatalistic. He thinks fate is predetermined at birth. Whatever lot you are given at birth, that's your life until death. In other words, there is only the village, and you got no say in it. Gaara is the other side of this coin. His father turned him into a Jinchuriki to become a weapon for the village, but the villagers simply feared him as a monster. Gaara's inability to properly control the One Tails, resulting in multiple rampages, didn't help, and things turned from bad to worse when Gaara was declared a failed experiment, and his own father attempted to assassinate him multiple times. So as a means to hold on to the little sanity he had left, Gaara cut himself off from everyone. Where Neji turned his rage outward, Gaara turned it inward, both stemming from the same extreme. And this is why we did our little homework in the beginning, because with our designing principle and theme, we know all the elements that will manifest change. The positive feedback loop that Naruto creates is always active because he's driven by the will of fire. The ultimate fool cannot be corrupted because of his childlike innocence and purity, so every time Naruto is met with resistance, he keeps doubling down. Naruto doesn't just defeat Neji, he shows him that it's better to be a fool than a genius. By utterly humiliating and destroying Neji in the fight, he finally gets through to him, turning Neji from a boy who resents the village into the man who will die protecting it. We also know which direction all dialogue is going to take.
So don't come whining to me with this destiny stuff. And stop trying to tell me you can't change what you are!
The first to compete against Gaara is Sasuke, who was training with Kakashi in the meantime. Gaara's father, the Kazekage, is also watching the fight together with the third Hokage. Why do I have the feeling he's more than a mere poppy farmer?
I'm a lead farmer, motherfucker! Yeah!
Yeah, this is pretty much what goes down during the Konoha Crush arc. Orochimaru killed the Kazekage and is using the Hidden Sand Village to destroy the Hidden Leaf. While the third Hokage dukes it out with Orochimaru, Team 7 goes after Gaara. Orochimaru even goes so far to use the reanimation jutsu, bringing back the first and second Hokage to gang up on the third.
Whenever you live, there's always war.
Isn't it great?
As a last resort, he decides to seal away Orochimaru's soul, but he only succeeds partially, crippling Orochimaru's hands instead. Both of these confrontations are part of the series' midpoint. Remember what I always say about midpoints: be in the middle, raise the stakes, and hold the key towards the hero's transformation. Since our hero is a two-dimensional character, he never changes. So the key is a key towards more awareness, and the change will fall on someone else. In this case, it's Gaara. And what's the key towards more awareness? The will of fire. As he shuffles off his mortal coil, the third Hokage literally spells it out for us.
Where the tree leaves dance, one shall find flames. The fire's shadow will illuminate the village.
And what changes Gaara? It's his realization of what drives Naruto. Naruto fights to protect the relationships he built. It's the will of fire in action. This is a perfectly executed midpoint. It's in the middle. The stakes are not just raised by Sarutobi's death, since the village is more vulnerable without the Hokage, but also by the fact that Orochimaru is unable to use any jutsu, which in turn only accelerates his need for a new body, meaning he'll now more than ever want to take over Sasuke. And to top it off, the key towards more awareness is also crystallized here. First spelled out by the Hokage, and at the same time put in action by Naruto to change Gaara. I love that the last thing Sarutobi sees is Orochimaru as a young boy, the last time Orochimaru had any innocence left in him. After Sarutobi's funeral, Naruto and Jiraiya embark on a mission to find the fifth Hokage. And with this we have reached the very glue I mentioned earlier. What is holding everything together? And why is the number 3 so important? To understand this, we need to take a look at the Tao. The Tao means the path or the way. Understanding the Tao or Tao is actually not that difficult. It's just very counterintuitive, and most people on this planet do not follow the Tao and are the farthest removed from a Zen master. Taoism focuses on living in harmony with the Tao, which is generally understood as the impersonal, enigmatic process of transformation underlying all of reality. Easy, right? Yeah, okay. Let's make it visual. You've heard of yin and yang. But what if I told you those two are not nouns, they are adjectives, and they're describing a plethora of things: bright, dark, warm, cold, round, square, up, down, order, chaos, masculine, feminine, Naruto, Sasuke, and so on. They are opposing elements, but each also contains an element of the other. The sun is often associated with the yang. It's bright and warm, or rather hot, with an even surface, yet it still has dark splotches known as sunspots. The moon is often associated with the yin. Its surface area is not exactly smooth, and it emits no light of its own, so it bounces sunlight off, the yang within the yin. Chaos gives birth to order, and order can deteriorate into chaos. Men have a feminine side, women have a masculine one. Now, to follow the Tao means to be aware of these elements all around you and how they bring about transformation. There are practical implications for your own mental state. I wouldn't be able to appreciate kindness without cruelty. Or to get more practical about it, I wouldn't appreciate this channel's growth if it didn't stagnate every now and then. Any positive comments are elevated by the occasional spiteful negative comment. This means that in order for you to live a good life, you must be rooted with one foot in chaos and one foot in order. Ideally, you should have a home to retreat to, but at the same time you also want to challenge yourself by going into the unknown or the unexplored. If you don't, well, that's the source of anxiety for so many people. Imagine someone sent off into early retirement. They got no purpose left, nothing but order. That person will deteriorate. On the opposite end, someone just lost their job and is thrown into chaos with no order at all. That person will also deteriorate. Extreme harm avoidance leads to anxiety like abuse does, and so on. Now, the interesting thing for writers is that the Dao also plays an incredible role in story structure. One of the best cult classics out there is just an exercise in Dao, Lethal Weapon. Riggs is nihilistic and suicidal, thoroughly rooted in chaos. Murtaugh is stale and domesticated, thoroughly rooted in order. Both are complete opposites but still three-dimensional characters with an internal flaw. And so they'll only find salvation by adopting a piece of the other. That's how they crack the case, because together they form the yin and the yang and walk the Dao. Technically, for a movie like Lethal Weapon, you would write two designing principles, one for each character with a shared theme. To bring it all back to Naruto, there is a reason we did this little side tour into the Dao. Both Naruto and Naruto Shippuden have technically three protagonists. The first two should be obvious now. So what about the third? Imagine for a moment the yin-yang is a stick, but it's broken in half. In order to heal the world, you need to bring the two parts back together. The only way to do so is by introducing a third and foreign element like glue or duct tape. That glue in our case is Sakura. Only when the glue works will Team 7 save the world. As you can imagine already, if you want to adopt this approach, you would need to write three designing principles united with one theme. And everything that is happening in Naruto and Naruto Shippuden is the result of an inharmonious Dao. Every calamity, every tragedy, every disaster, and every conflict. The Dao is baked into the very plot structure because remember, all dramatic arcs are just vehicles to burn away a hero's facade, to reveal the flaw. It's just that this time we got a trinity of flaws that need to be overcome. Which means it's time to look at our first faulty glue. There are always two good reasons to listen to every word Tsunade has to say. Tsunade is one of the three legendary ninjas and in the league with Jiraiya and Orochimaru. All three were trained by Sarutobi and made a name for themselves during the Second Great Ninja War. With exceptional chakra control, Tsunade can amplify her strength and is a force to be reckoned with. She's also a master medical ninja and has developed what is considered the pinnacle of medical jutsu, the Creation Rebirth, the ability to heal any injury instantly. But it comes with a price. The ability shortens a user's lifespan, so while she may be in her 50s, her actual appearance is much older and wrinklier. Hence why she maintains a youthful facade with a transformation jutsu. During the Second Great Ninja War, two people close to Tsunade died in battle. Nawaki, her little brother, and Dan, her lover. Because she couldn't stop Dan's severe blood loss, she developed a fear of blood. As a result, she gave up on any medical endeavors and the village. Instead, she drowns her sorrows in booze and gambling halls, thinking that being Hokage is a fool's job, because both Nawaki and Dan wanted to be the Hokage, only to end up 6 feet under. In Tsunade's mind, dreams are just that, dreams. Sometime at the height of the Third Great Ninja War, she left and gave up on the village, unable to move on. By the way, this is why the animal she summons is a giant slug. Symbolically, it makes sense because slugs are slow to move on. And so it falls on Jiraiya and Naruto to bring her back, not just because the village needs a new Hokage, but also because on the way to Tsunade they got ambushed by Itachi and his shark buddy Kisame, who were trying to kidnap Naruto. The confrontation left Kakashi and Sasuke comatose because Itachi used the Tsukuyomi on both. Basically, ninja skills fall into three categories: ninjutsu, which we have seen a lot so far, taijutsu, the martial arts component, and genjutsu, the art of sensory illusions. The Tsukuyomi is one of the most powerful genjutsus because its wielder can manipulate the perception of time. So since Kakashi means scarecrow in Japanese, he got mounted like one and repeatedly stabbed for 3 days, while in reality only barely a second had passed. Sasuke was forced to relive the day his entire clan was massacred by Itachi. Wonderful stuff, and now only Tsunade can help them recover because the normal Hidden Leaf medics are overwhelmed with the situation. But as expected, Tsunade keeps throwing her savings away in gambling halls and has nothing but ridicule left for Naruto. This arc is one of my favorite ones because it is here that all the elements we discussed so far start to interlock. You might have noticed that the three legendary ninja represent an eternal deadlock. They are named after characters from an old Japanese folk tale, but the concept goes back to an older variant of rock, paper, scissors. The frog is afraid of the snake is afraid of the slug, and the slug is afraid of the frog. Or as my wife likes to call it, canine bites cow, deputy tases canine, cow kicks deputy. What? She grew up on the countryside, that's how they play it there. This deadlock means that the only way forward lies in unity. Because Tsunade could not act as the glue she was meant to be, Orochimaru and Jiraiya simply drifted further apart. Things are about to escalate when Orochimaru seeks out Tsunade's help as well. He gives her an ultimatum to heal his arms, and in return, he'll bring back Nawaki and Dan from the dead. The broken yin-yang results in the perversion of the natural order. This symbolism reflects, well, everything. As a side note, you see it in Dragon Ball Z too, on Namek. Here the animal kingdom is represented by a frog, the people are basically slugs, and the divine is a dragon. Now, I have explained why Tsunade summons a slug. Orochimaru and the snake are quite obvious, but why is the summoning animal of the fool a frog? You see, the frog is a peculiar animal. It defies category. The frog sits in between, part water, part land. You have probably heard of the ancient Egyptian god Kek, a deification of the concept of primordial darkness. In other words, chaos. Chaos also means potential, because out of every chaos, order can form. And that's exactly what the Fool represents, boundless potential. Naruto could become the village's savior, but he could also become the source of its destruction. What keeps Naruto on the right path is the will of fire. And so because Naruto can't help himself, he creates yet again this positive feedback loop. He pushes back against Tsunade's cynicism, and because his resolve reminds her of Nawaki, she ends up defying Orochimaru, culminating in a final confrontation. We wrap up the arc with Kabuto and Orochimaru fleeing. And so a changed Tsunade returns home to help Kakashi and Sasuke, and to take office as the 5th Hokage.
It's too soon for a new Hokage! My grandfather was everything to this village! No, Poofy. It reminds me of my baby blanket.
And this was the day Konohamaru discovered there is more to life than playing hide and seek. With this we can enter the final arc and third act of the original series. As I always say, storytelling is symmetrical. We build up to the midpoint in our first half, and now we'll have to deal with the fallout in the second. Enter Sasuke recovery arc. Because of course, Sasuke will abandon the village to join up with Orochimaru so he can gain more power. A positive feedback loop also amplifies negative feelings. After he recuperates in the hospital, he is mortified by the progress Naruto has made. How could the worst student in class surpass him? If he can't even defeat Naruto, what chance does he have against Itachi? And unfortunately, Sakura is not nearly strong enough to rein them in. Our glue does not work, so the yin and yang drift further apart. The Sound 4 arrive in the Hidden Leaf to take Sasuke. I forgot to mention it, but Orochimaru started his own village, the village hidden in the Sound. It's less of a village and more of a secret Mengele-style lab for his insane experiments, well, multiple labs. I could do an hour-long video just on this one arc alone, but since only a fraction of the events is about Naruto, and this video is mostly about Naruto's journey, I'll keep it brief here. The recovery team consists of 5 Leaf Shinobi with Naruto included, and each is basically giving Naruto enough time to catch up with Sasuke while they duke it out one-on-one with the Sound 4. The final confrontation between Sasuke and Naruto is the very meme magic I mentioned in the intro on Symphonic Dialogue. 2 anime protagonists yelling their ideologies at each other at the edge of the world. Well, they're still just kids, so it's less yelling of ideologies and more shouting out feelings while completely talking past each other. It's like the average Twitter fight. The one thing I'm very certain of when it comes to storytelling is that when you do the legwork in the beginning, the story basically writes itself. The dialogue writes itself. There was no other outcome than this because every element was set up to ultimately build up to this confrontation, from the faulty Dao to Naruto's positive feedback loop. The Shinobi world can only heal when Team 7 aligns properly with each other. Even after defeating Naruto, Sasuke can't bring himself to kill him. Yes, he stopped because the curse still takes a toll on him, but shortly after we find out that Sasuke would not kill his best friend to awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan. He'll do it his own way. Deep down, both know they need the other because each has a piece of the other. Naruto sees a brother in Sasuke because Sasuke lost his family and Naruto grew up as an orphan. Opposite, Sasuke thinks Naruto can't ever understand him precisely because he's an orphan. He never experienced the loss of a family like Sasuke. It's a perfect yin and yang of character. And so with this, Team 7 is officially broken. Kakashi carries Naruto back to the Hidden Leaf. Sasuke joins up with Orochimaru where he is eagerly awaited. Orochimaru in the meantime took over someone else's body and has to wait roughly 3 years before he can take over Sasuke.
私の未来はこの子の中にある。
That is some Frank Reynolds level poor choice of words.
You gotta pay the troll toll. If you want to get into that boy's hole, you gotta pay the troll toll to get in.
Sakura asks Tsunade to be trained, realizing if she wants to keep up, she must do much more. And so for the next 2.5 years, each member of Team 7 is trained by one of the legendary ninja. Naruto embarks on a journey with Jiraiya to train and prepare for battle against Orochimaru and the Akatsuki, a group of villains so fierce they'll make everything so far look like child's play. After 2.5 years, Naruto returns to the Hidden Leaf, taller and stronger, but none the wiser.
I mean, come on, Konohamaru, is that all you've got? Now step aside and get a load of my brand spanking new pervy ninjutsu! Are you kidding me?
Straight away, Sakura and Naruto demonstrate their new abilities in a sparring session with Kakashi, yet again trying to take away the bells from him. This time though, they win by threatening to spoil the ending to Jiraiya's newest erotica novel. Shortly afterwards, the 5th Hokage gives what's left of Team 7 a new mission. Tsunade tells them to head out to the Hidden Sand to help rescue Gaara, who is now the 5th Kazekage. Gaara was kidnapped by 2 Akatsuki mercenaries. The Akatsuki is an organization hell-bent on extracting all the tailed beasts from Jinchurikis. For us to understand the Akatsuki and why they exist in the first place, we must understand the world of shinobi at large. There are multiple villages and nations, all in conflict with each other. To understand why, I have asked my weird aunt with weird healing crystals for help, not because she's an expert in international politics, but because she can use her witchcraft to bring somebody back who is. Through a seance, I was able to ask the 42nd Anglikage from the land of narrow water some questions. He knows a thing or two about international relations and warfare because he has seen a thing or two.
Turning once again to the question of great power politics, as requested by this Yugoslavian fellow and his audience of, what was it again? Weebs. The first axiom of international affairs is this: order is but a shimmering mirage. There exists no supreme authority on this global stage. We dwell within an anarchic realm. Each sovereign nation strives to expand its dominion and safeguard its interests. Nations are forever uncertain of their neighbors' intentions. Thus, the specter of war is ever looming. The only semblance of safety lies in readiness for conflict, for war, a doctrine this Mearsheimer chap termed offensive realism. By seizing regional hegemony, nations secure their safety. This is why great powers often resort to war, because there is only a single path to regional hegemony: military prowess. Otherwise, one can only hope to be blessed by chance, like fortunate maritime nations where the sea acts as nature's balancer, making any attempt of invasion a cumbersome endeavor. Some opt for a fusion of both, as seen in the land of ungrateful colonials and their coast-to-coast doctrine. The direst plight befalls landlocked nations encircled by foes. Should they not take the offensive, they risk becoming mere battlegrounds for mightier neighbors, as has happened to the village hidden in the rain. In any event, God save the Queen, and release me from your sorcery, you dreadful hag.
Kishimoto grew up listening to war stories from his grandfather, and it undoubtedly influenced his world building, because you simply have to substitute military might with ninjutsu and you got the same picture Mearsheimer lays out. I mean, the tailed beasts are basically treated like weapons of mass destruction, and this is why every village tries to have a Jinchuriki under their control, and also why every village is running secret labs and deep state operations. Everyone needs to acquire as many jutsus as possible, because no one can ever be sure that everyone else isn't doing the very same thing. And the consequence of that is either war or blowback. The Akatsuki are blowback. If you didn't know what blowback means, it's just the unintended consequence of a covert operation. Americans know this as a phenomenon when two halves of their tax dollars start fighting each other abroad. Akatsuki members are rogue shinobi who rejected their villages for various reasons, and the organization is funded through covert operations ranging from assassinations to infrastructure sabotage. So the build-up towards the midpoint consists of two main plot threads: Naruto's fight against the Akatsuki and Sasuke's quest for revenge. The two that have kidnapped Gaara are Deidara and Sasori. Something that's apparent early on is that the Akatsuki appear in pairs, also always wearing black robes with a pattern of bright red clouds. And I'm not sure this isn't just a coincidence, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it was intentional. Each pair represents a faulty Tao, or an inharmonious yin and yang. Both Sasori and Deidara are obsessed with art, but while Deidara thinks art is explosive and fleeting, Sasori thinks it's lasting and eternal. So much that he turned himself into an everlasting puppet. On the other hand, Deidara creates clays that explode using his, I guess, Unabomber no Jutsu, and so they never find common ground, just continuous bickering. Hidan and Kakuzu have both gained immortality by sacrificing others, but while Hidan orients himself towards the divine and his evil god, Kakuzu orients himself towards the mundane and money, so they both bicker. Itachi and Kisame are both known for massacring their fellow villagers, but while Itachi views it as a tragedy, Kisame sees it as part and parcel of living in the world of shinobi. Now, I don't know if Kishimoto was aware of this when he paired the Akatsuki. I couldn't find anything online, so feel free to share your thoughts in the comments if you know more. Unfortunately, Team 7 arrives too late. The tailed beast was already extracted from Gaara, killing him in the process. Naruto and Kakashi go after Deidara, and Sakura teams up with Granny Chiyo from the Hidden Sand against Sasori. She also happens to be Sasori's actual grandmother and a puppeteering master. After a very prolonged battle that pushes both Sakura and Chiyo to their limits, they emerge victorious. Though Deidara manages to flee, this arc is interesting because the positive feedback loop is still active, albeit by proxy. This time the change falls on Chiyo, who realizes just how far Naruto is willing to go for Gaara. Sakura is also driven by the need to keep up with Naruto and Sasuke. She got stronger, but she also developed new medical skills that end up saving Kankuro, Gaara's older brother. All this leads Chiyo to change. She goes from having no faith in the future to entrusting her hopes for the future to the next generation. And in great parts because Naruto has no geographical limits for the will of fire. He treats Gaara like he would a fellow leaf. And so in an act of redemption, Chiyo sacrifices herself to revive Gaara. She was after all the one who turned Gaara into a Jinchuriki. Before he departed his earthly puppet coil, Sasori revealed to Sakura that he has a spy working for him under Orochimaru. So Team 7 heads out to spy on the spy. Well, what's left of Team 7? Kakashi is out of commission because he overused Kamui, a space-time ninjutsu that allows him to send objects and people from and to another dimension. And so Yamato joins Team 7 as his substitute. I could do a whole hour just on Yamato, so I'll keep it brief here. He's one of Orochimaru's tube babies that survived, part of a range of experiments with the aim of integrating the first Hokage's cells into people. Because of this, Yamato is able to use the wood style which previously only the first Hokage was able to use. A handy ability because it allows him to rein in a tailed beast's chakra. Should, for example, Naruto lose control again like he did during his training with Jiraiya. The more chakra tails appear, the more dangerous it gets. With 4 chakra tails, Naruto almost killed Jiraiya. Joining Team 7 is also Sasuke's substitute, Sai. And boy is this guy something, in a good way. With Sai finally in the picture, we can grapple with what the entire point of Naruto's journey is. Team 7 arrives to the meetup with the spy, and as you probably expected, it's Kabuto acting as a double agent. Orochimaru makes the grave mistake of taunting Naruto about Sasuke's fate, which just brings out the Nine Tails as puberty tends to hit fools harder. Things continue to escalate as Naruto is unable to control his emotions. The situation goes from bad to catastrophic when Sai seemingly defects to Orochimaru's side. Team 7 tracks down Orochimaru's hideout, only to discover that Sai was sent to assassinate Sasuke. And then everything blows up. Soon Team 7 is overwhelmed by Sasuke. He's even able to suppress the Nine Tails chakra with his Sharingan. And Orochimaru is the only reason Sasuke does not kill Team 7. As Orochimaru suggests, it's best to let them fight the Akatsuki for them. And yet, even during a low point like this, Naruto's feedback loop is still active. This time the change falls on Sai, who belongs to the Root, or the Foundation in the English dub. It's basically the training subdivision of the Anbu Black Ops, the village's assassination and tactical squad. The Foundation is led by Danzo Shimura. He is the yin to Sarutobi's yang. the anime literally spells it out for us.
You were a tree leaf upon which light shone. I was nothing but a foundation hidden in darkness.
As I stated before, the ideal village must walk the Tao, but what does that mean practically? Is it just the Will of Fire? No. The Will of Fire is just the sentimental opposite of what Danzo is doing. If we view Sarutobi as the loving father, well, as loving as one can be in the world of shinobi, then Danzo is the tyrannical father. Both care deeply about the village, but they disagree on how to protect it. For Danzo, there is only the village, so a rogue shinobi like Sasuke must be eliminated. Members of the Foundation undergo rigorous training with a focus on suppressing emotions. Danzo has no use for individuals to do the village's dirty business. He needs them to act as an extension of the village. Hence why Sai is socially inept and awkward, incapable of reading the room. However, the ideal village isn't some hippie commune where everyone just does as they please with no restrictions. That type of village wouldn't survive for long. The ideal village embodies the essence of a community, voluntary self-sacrifice. It balances both extremes out. Being part of a community requires self-sacrifice. You give up time and you put in a lot of effort, but it happens voluntarily. Funny enough, once we get to Hashirama and Madara, you'll see that is how the village grows. The ideal village respects individual autonomy, yet acknowledges the importance of sentimental ties that anchor individuals. There needs to be a balance between freedom and authority. I mean, consider what happens to children raised by helicopter parents. They even end up with lowered motor function and a weakened immune system. Or look at the dire consequences for children who never heard a no growing up.
We're leaving.
Someone like Sai embodies extreme detachment, lacking sentimental ties. Sai's quest involves rediscovering emotions and understanding the Will of Fire, seeking a balance. He sees these qualities in Naruto and vows to aid him in bringing back Sasuke. The arc that follows showcases this balance as well. I would argue that Shikamaru and Asuma's relationship is the ideal village in action. Asuma, the third Hokage's son and leader of Team 10, recognizes Shikamaru's genius level IQ early on. Hence why Shikamaru is often bored and has the temperament of an old man. But instead of trying to change Shikamaru, Asuma plays to his strengths. Literally, I mean they play shogi every free minute they have. With this, Asuma boosts Shikamaru's strategic thinking while also imparting the Will of Fire through conversation. It all culminates in the final battle with Hidan and Kakuzu. By the way, if you didn't know, Kakuzu means bishop and Hidan means rook. And how does Shikamaru emerge victorious? In shogi, Shikamaru's strategy involves using a pawn to defeat the rook and bishop. And who ends up being the pawn in battle? Himself. So in other words, the character that understands that the basis of community is voluntary self-sacrifice, and it's also what keeps the community alive, defeats the characters that sacrifice others to keep themselves alive. So the harmonious Tao triumphs over discord. Oh, and it helps that Naruto drops a nuke on Kakuzu. This is why I stressed the legwork in the beginning. Once you have set the stage, the story writes itself. Because with the next arc, we explore the other extreme. What happens to a community with no basis in voluntary self-sacrifice? While it disintegrates quickly. After revealing his true form to take over Sasuke, Orochimaru is absorbed by his protege instead. The Hidden Sound village dissolves soon after when Sasuke frees all the lab rats. Even Kabuto simply walks away, devoid of purpose, though I doubt this will be the last of him. And so Sasuke heads out to find and kill his last sentimental bond. Granted, it's a bond fueled by immense hatred. While on the search for Itachi, Sasuke takes out Deidara in a little spat that ends up changing the topography of the entire region. With this, 4 Akatsuki members have now been taken out. Deidara was paired with the newcomer Tobi, an inept fool, or so it seems. Tobi intercepts Naruto and friends on their way to catch up with Sasuke. And while Tobi appears quite foolish, he has astonishing teleportation skills. In a way, they work like Kakashi's Kamui. I'm sure that's just a coincidence. And so the two brothers duke it out on the edge of the world while shouting their ideologies at each other. This is one of my favorite fights in Shippuden. It starts with a series of genjutsu misdirects before going all out. And tragically, this fight too is a consequence of a broken Dao. Remember what I said in the beginning, Itachi is the consequence of the negation of the ideal village. The Hidden Leaf, in its current state, does not follow the Dao. Itachi, a former Anbu member, was ordered by the village elders to exterminate his entire clan, the Uchiha. The Uchiha were plotting a coup due to deep-seated mistrust between their clan and others, blamed for the Nine Tails attack because of their Sharingan's ability to control tailed beasts. After the rampage, the Uchiha were relegated to the village outskirts. This just stoked the flames, and so to avoid a prolonged civil war, Itachi was ordered to kill every Uchiha, including his parents.
This is the path you have chosen. Compared to yours, our pain will be over in an instant.
But the one person he could not kill is his little brother, Sasuke. To shield Sasuke from the truth, Itachi played the part of a psychopath, pretending to only want power in Sasuke's eyes because of the Mangekyo Sharingan side effect, blindness. Itachi knows that if Sasuke ever finds out the truth, he will burn the village down. This will become Sasuke's key for transformation at the midpoint once he does end up learning the truth. And even here Naruto's feedback loop is active. Before the fight, Itachi confronted Naruto. He wanted to understand why Naruto is so obsessed with Sasuke and how he would react if Sasuke turned against the village. Fortunately for Naruto, Itachi approved of his response.
I would defend the village, and I'd find a way to stop Sasuke without killing him!
Now, Naruto does not change Itachi, but it's here that he decides to put Sasuke's fate in Naruto's hands. He knows Naruto will relentlessly pursue Sasuke to bring him back home. Remember, Itachi put the village above everything else, even his clan and himself. He joined the Akatsuki to spy on them for the third Hokage, and so in his final moments, Itachi breaks character. With Itachi's departure, we can finally talk about Shippuden's midpoint. Well, actually there are 3 midpoints to consider, given that we have 3 main characters. Sasuke's midpoint happened shortly after his battle with Itachi. He is taken by Tobi, and yeah, Tobi ain't a mere fool. He claims to be Madara Uchiha, the co-founder of the Hidden Leaf. This little bit of info was already revealed after Deidara's death. Madara tells Sasuke the truth, that he aided Itachi in the Uchiha massacre. Upon learning this, Sasuke vows to burn the Hidden Leaf to the ground. However, Madara has bigger plans that come first. He still requires 2 more Jinchuriki, so he sends Sasuke after the Eight Tails and the founder of the Akatsuki after Naruto. Naruto is about to learn a crucial life lesson, that life is suffering. At the same time, when Naruto and friends were chasing after Sasuke, Jiraiya investigates the leader of the Akatsuki, a man simply known as Pain, who resides in the elusive Hidden Rain village. Tsunade reluctantly approves Jiraiya's mission, not that she could stop him if she wanted, but their goodbye feels very melancholic here. I mean, come on, this is Jiraiya, the pervy sage, the gallant, the master ninja, he'll survive anything, right? Right? He'll survive anything. He's always good for a boob joke, and Tsunade just gets mad. Oh boy, she finds the joke endearing this time. Oh boy, oh boy. You can't do this. No, you can't do this, Kishimoto. I hate you. I hate you. Come on, not every archetype needs to follow the same arc. Muten Roshi is still around. No. Come on, I don't want to know what's in the box then.
What's in the box?
I don't want to know what's in the next episode. He's dead, isn't he?
5 minutes later.
The moment Jiraiya infiltrates the Hidden Rain, he realizes just how odd and spooky the entire village is. Pain is revered as a god, and there are 6 Pains, each in possession of the Rinnegan. Considered the most powerful of the 3 great eyes, so far we have seen the Sharingan and the Byakugan in action. As the legend goes, the first person to wield the Rinnegan was the Sage of the 6 Paths, who could move heaven and earth with his powers. And it is said that in times of chaos, the Rinnegan is sent from the heavens to either manifest in a god of creation, to calm the world, or in a god of destruction, to destroy it.
So just what exactly are you?
We are pain, that's all. We are gods.
It does not matter what Jiraiya throws at Pain, they outmaneuver every jutsu, acting in unison, seemingly without a blind spot. But after taking out one Pain, Jiraiya realizes something. These are people he fought before, and so in his last moments Jiraiya leaves a coded message behind for the Hidden Leaf. about Pain's true identity. Jiraiya also dies with a smile on his face, and I'll explain why once we get to the actual midpoint. News of Jiraiya's death reaches the Hidden Leaf, and Naruto reacts with a mix of anger and sadness, blaming Tsunade for allowing Jiraiya to go on the mission. Thankfully, Iruka-sensei has the right words for Naruto.
All Jiraiya ever had was praise for you. He always boasted about you. He kept saying that you were like his own grandchild. It's true, he had faith that you were the one who'd inherit his will. And he truly believed that you would become a wonderful Hokage one day.
And so while everyone else tries to decode Jiraiya's message and the one Pain he killed, Naruto heads out to the Toad Realm to train with one of the Great Toad Sages. Naruto needs to master Sage Jutsu, a form of power-up that draws nature energy, resulting in stronger bodies and ninjutsu.
Wait, hold on. It hardly hurts at all.
Soon after, Pain starts his assault on the Hidden Leaf, causing a rampage while interrogating people about Naruto's whereabouts. Even Kakashi gets taken out by Pain. I'll be honest, I didn't think for a second Kakashi is actually dead here, even when he meets his father in the afterlife. His arc is not finished. At the same time, Danzo has the brilliant idea of taking out the messenger frog who was about to call back Naruto. Danzo thinks it's the best to keep Naruto away from the village. This way the Akatsuki can't extract another Jinchuriki. But once Pain talks to Tsunade, he figures out that Naruto left the village. The Leaf Shinobi also deciphered Jiraiya's coded message. The Pains are corpses controlled by someone else via chakra rods that act as receivers. And as Tsunade argues with Pain, he decides to teach the Leaf the true meaning of pain.
This world shall know pain. Almighty push!
Fortunately for everyone, Tsunade planned ahead and used her summoning animal to keep everyone safe. And now we have reached what is considered the best fight in both anime. Not just because it's an overall very impressive fight, it's also a perfect midpoint. Multiple changes happen here. Naruto arrives at ground zero and quickly realizes that Pain is not someone he can just let live. With his Sage Jutsu, Naruto is able to sense everyone's chakra, and he learns quickly that Kakashi has died in battle. One of Tsunade's snails relays all the information they have learned so far about Pain. At first, it seems Naruto will quickly emerge victorious, but Pain gains the upper hand soon enough. Pain also reveals his plans. He wants the tailed beasts to create a weapon of mass destruction to force the shinobi world into peace. But not through a doctrine of mutually assured destruction. No, he wants to basically nuke the world into submission. In other words,
the greater the suffering, the greater the peace.
Because as Pain explains, the will of fire that Naruto was embodying all this time is also the very reason why people go to war. The will of every village contributes to a cycle of hatred. And so Pain asks a simple question. How is he the one to break this cycle? Naruto has no answer for this question. Interestingly enough, the answer to this question does unfold through the midpoint at 3 stages. Each is part of the key for transformation. The first stage is when Hinata decides to protect Naruto. Finally, after all these years, she confesses her love. This is a proper change for Hinata because she is not the same person after this. And she also passes my Oregon method. I developed a surefire way of finding the right woman. Forget dating apps and the usual manosphere advice. If your gal can survive the Oregon Trail, she's the right one. Number 1, stands up for her man. Check. Number 2, can put up a fight. Check. Look, there are a lot of dangers along the Oregon Trail. Number 3, can use a gun. Check. Ninjutsu counts as a gun here. And number 4, most importantly,
just relax. Don't be embarrassed and try to hide yourself. We're all women here. But they just keep floating up.
buoyancy. There are a lot of rivers along the Oregon Trail that need to be crossed. Any woman you're dating must at least check 3 points of the Oregon method, because modern problems require old-fashioned solutions. With Hinata comes the first part of the key for transformation: tell the truth. However, we soon discover that just telling the truth is not enough, and so when Naruto thinks Pain killed Hinata, all hell breaks loose. I have seen people complain about this stage of the fight, but I think it fits perfectly. Yes, the style changes a lot, but I think it's a great representation of two titans fighting. The characters seem to break the confines of their reality, and I still get pumped when I hear Pain's "Let's go."
Let's go.
As Pain keeps pushing the beast, more tails appear. Even he is impressed by its power.
Is that all you've got? Not bad.
In hopes of sealing Naruto away, Pain decides to use a technique called planetary devastation, a technique going back to the Sage of the Six Paths, who supposedly used it to create the moon. This is the same face I make after a feast with family in the Balkans, like 12 hours later. At this point, Naruto is tempted by the Nine Tails to give up and release the seal. With the village destroyed, Hinata dead, and God knows how many more, Naruto has no answer to Pain's question. And so the second part of the key for transformation is revealed. You see, the Fool does represent boundless potential, but the Fool must also learn. If you take a look at tarot cards, for example, you see that the Fool's journey consists of the Fool encountering many characters, mundane and divine, who all end up teaching the Fool a lesson. This time it's his father, Minato, the fourth Hokage. Minato sealed parts of his chakra into Naruto for this very situation. Should Naruto ever be tempted to release the seal? Minato also explains that someone else must be using Pain for his own gains, a masked man that also orchestrated the Nine Tails attack. All this information overwhelms Naruto with feelings.
But if you and Pervy Sage don't have a clue about the answer, how am I ever supposed to figure it out? Everyone expects so much of me. I mean, look at me. I'm not smart. I'm not a great ninja. I'm just me. And how's a guy like me supposed to...
I'm certain that you'll be able to find the answer, Naruto.
The lesson here is simple, but very difficult to apply. Pick up and bear your suffering. Naruto regains control with a newfound confidence and takes down Pain. He uses the chakra rods to pinpoint the real Pain's location, and what he finds is an emaciated, broken husk of a man. It's here that the third and final part of the key for transformation is revealed. Pay attention. And so Naruto pays attention. Who is this man named Nagato and what is driving him? And so Nagato tells his story. Something that was already revealed before is that Nagato was one of Jiraiya's first students. When Jiraiya ended up in the Toad Realm, the Great Toad, who is very old and very wise, also very senile during certain hours of the day, prophesied that Jiraiya will find and train the Child of Prophecy, considered to be the reincarnation of the Sage of the Six Paths. Technically, there are two children of prophecy, as they are the reincarnation of the Sage's two sons, but that's only revealed in the final arc, and Jiraiya does not know this, and so Jiraiya's actions will determine the fate of the shinobi world. Because depending on who he chooses as his disciple, it will either bring salvation or destruction. During the Second Great Shinobi World War, Jiraiya took care of 3 war orphans in the Hidden Rain: Nagato, Yahiko, and Konan. He trains them to become shinobi. I mean, it was the better of the two options, one coming from Orochimaru.
These kids, shall I kill them? We've seen so many war orphans. It's always so pitiful.
Nagato's parents were killed by Hidden Leaf shinobi during the war, and once Nagato awakened the Rinnegan, Jiraiya was convinced this must be the Child of Prophecy. That's why Jiraiya smiled in his last moments, having finally found the actual Child of Prophecy. Jiraiya put his hope for a better world in Naruto. After becoming strong shinobi, Jiraiya returned to the Hidden Leaf. The 3 created the Akatsuki with Yahiko as their spokesperson, and soon enough they gained many followers, preaching peaceful means to end the cycle of hatred. But of course, it didn't take long until others took notice, including Danzo, who used a false flag operation to frame the Akatsuki as terrorists. Hanzo, the leader of the Hidden Rain, didn't need much convincing because he was already feeling threatened by Yahiko. Hanzo's men kidnapped Konan and demanded that Nagato kills Yahiko. Instead, Yahiko sacrificed himself. This basically broke Nagato, who summoned the Gedo statue. Don't worry, we'll get to this thing in the endgame. It impaled Nagato, giving him additional powers and access to the chakra receivers. This is how Pain was born, as explained by Nagato to Naruto. And then something interesting happens. Naruto uses the key for transformation. He tells the truth, he bears his suffering, and he pays attention.
Well then, I'm gonna break that curse one day. If there's truly such a thing as peace in this world, then somehow I'll find it. I'll never stop looking.
These words reach Nagato, triggering yet again the positive feedback loop. It's here that Nagato realizes these are his own words. Naruto was inspired by Jiraiya's first novel based on Jiraiya's own adventures and his quest for peace. Jiraiya may have named the hero Naruto in a moment of whimsy, but the words his hero speaks are Nagato's, as he simply incorporated what Nagato told Jiraiya. In this moment, Nagato sees in Naruto what he would have become had he not betrayed his ideals. I love this midpoint. I keep stressing the midpoints because they're incredibly important and potent. It's not just that Hinata and Nagato change. This one is so well done that even our two-dimensional character changes. Well, he gets wiser. Naruto changes from a steadfast fool to a steadfast fool with a bit of wisdom. Because this key for transformation is what is going to change the world of Shinobi. The stakes are raised with Nagato's final act of redemption. He uses the Rinnegan's ultimate ability to sacrifice himself and revive everyone he killed so far, including Kakashi. Nagato puts his faith in Naruto for a better future. Having now lost his strongest pawn, Madara will accelerate his plans, including his plans for Sasuke. And so while Naruto is celebrated as the hero who saved the village, worse threats loom on the horizon. To say a lot of stuff is about to happen in the second half of Shippuden would be the understatement of the year. So for my own sanity and to keep this video under 2 hours, I will keep the focus on Team 7 all the way to the end. Don't worry, we'll still go through each arc and every character arc related to Team 7. It doesn't take long until things kick into high gear again. Tsunade is in a coma, having exhausted her medical jutsu. This creates the perfect opportunity for Danzo to take over as the 6th Hokage. His first order of business is to declare Sasuke a rogue shinobi and order his assassination. Not just because Danzo always viewed the last two Uchiha as a loose end, there is also mounting pressure from the other villages. The Kage convene at the 5 Kage Summit in the Land of Iron, which is run by the samurai, to discuss how to deal with the Akatsuki. This serves as the perfect opportunity for Madara to collect Sasuke's debt. Having failed to capture the 8 Tails, Sasuke is given the opportunity to take out Danzo at the summit. By the way, something I noticed, even though Talk no Jutsu has become a meme, and I did mention that Naruto often persuades his enemies away from their destructive paths, Naruto actually never convinces anyone of anything with just words. The one time he does try to use only words, when he begged the Raikage to spare Sasuke, he fails miserably. It's always a combination of action and words that work. Because remember, tell the truth, bear your suffering, and pay attention. Things continue to escalate when Madara crashes the summit, hoping Sasuke would be able to take on 5 Kage or at least weaken them while also pushing his Sharingan to new limits. Well, 4 Kage because Danzo bailed out the first chance he got. Luckily for Sasuke, Madara saves him last minute. Madara also explains his plans and gives the Kage a simple choice: surrender and hand over the 2 remaining Jinchuriki or face war. Madara wants to bring peace to the shinobi world as well, but his plan is even more twisted than Pain's. According to Madara, the legend of the Sage of the 6 Paths is true, and ages ago he tamed a monster known as the 10 Tails. The sage became the beast's Jinchuriki, and before his death, he split its chakra into 9-tailed beasts and sealed the remaining husk away with planetary devastation, creating the moon. This husk is the very Gedo statue Nagato was able to summon once he awakened the Rinnegan, and so Madara wants to collect all the tailed beasts, absorb them into this husk, and become its Jinchuriki to reach godhood. This way Madara can cast an all-powerful genjutsu known as the Infinite Tsukuyomi to trap everyone on Earth in a dream world to end all suffering and war. Yeah, it's the ultimate Gnostic horror show. Madara too is convinced that there is no way to escape the cycle of hatred. He then retreats to intercept Danzo and to give Sasuke a chance to tie up loose ends. Danzo goes down with honor in a last-ditch effort to take out Sasuke and Madara. I would consider this to be the lowest point for Team 7. Ironically, because everyone is thoroughly changed by the midpoint. Sasuke is committed to a path of revenge and destruction, even trying to kill Sakura. Sakura too has changed, realizing that Sasuke is not the person she fell in love with anymore. she tries to take out Sasuke. Naruto went from someone with no answers to someone with the ultimate answer. Since the midpoint, Naruto tackles problems by living out the key for transformation. The positive feedback loop is also always active. So as Sasuke vows that he will eventually kill Naruto, Naruto vows yet again to bring Sasuke back home. And so as the Mangekyo Sharingan takes its toll, causing blindness, Madara and Sasuke retreat. Back in Madara's hideout, Sasuke demands Itachi's eyes. I forgot to mention it, but eyes are passed around like a blunt in this universe. I mean, Danzo had a whole collection of them. And so Madara prepares for war with what seems to be a clone army. Yeah, I'll explain this once we get to the final chapter of the video. Joining Madara is also Kabuto, who got some upgrades. By upgrades I mean he injected what was left of Orochimaru into himself like some tweaker. Since Kabuto spent most of his time gathering intel and corpses for Orochimaru, he offers Orochimaru's reanimation jutsu.
This is...
Kabuto brings back every enemy Team 7 fought so far and some former Kage. Oh, and something I haven't mentioned yet, this jutsu only works by sacrificing a living person. And to make things worse, Madara kills Konan to take the Rinnegan from Nagato's body. At the same time, the Shinobi world forms an alliance with the samurai, creating the Allied Shinobi Force, consisting of more than 80,000 shinobi. Tsunade is also back in action, and I'm not gonna lie, the ninja run looked always ridiculous, but I can also see why people thought they could storm Area 51 with it.
Back out here live, we will have much more from the tiny community of Rachel.
Naruto, on the other hand, is sent to an island to train with Killer Bee, to train how to use the Nine-Tails chakra effectively. Something that's very interesting about this entire build-up to the war is that Naruto has developed a shadow after the midpoint. He needs to incorporate his shadow to be able to use the Nine-Tails chakra. His shadow is suspicious of the support he now gets from the village. These people treated you like garbage, and now they cheer for you. How can you ever trust them? Asks the shadow. And so yet again, Naruto uses the key for transformation. He pays close attention to Killer Bee's story and discovers a way to integrate his own shadow.
What now, huh? What am I supposed to do from now on? That's easy to answer. You just need to become me.
Now, why does this work? Technically, a three-dimensional character goes on a journey to overcome their flaw. That's what most movies, for example, boil down to. But why did it work for a two-dimensional character? Most stories would end here. Not Naruto's, because remember, he's part of a yin-yang, and so Naruto's journey can only be complete once Team 7's journey is complete. Naruto then attempts to separate the Nine-Tails chakra from the beast. He almost succumbs to its hatred, fueling even the shadow yet again. And just as it seems all is lost, Naruto's mother appears before him. Part of her chakra was sealed inside Naruto by Minato as well. Both parents died the night of the rampage. I know for many this just feels like a random deus ex machina, but it's par for the course. The fool met his father, he is confronted with fatherly expectations, and now he is confronted with a mother's unconditional love. With Kushina's help, Naruto is able to tame the beast and take its chakra. Kushina also reveals all the details surrounding the night of the rampage, confirming yet again that the masked man is responsible for it all. I skipped a bunch of these flashbacks as the story returns a few times to our focal point mentioned in the beginning. If Naruto's journey were a trilogy consisting of 3 movies, this would be much more apparent. The spiral structure is a bit buried here but still present. Naruto is able to tap into the Nine-Tails chakra at will, and he lights up like a candle while doing so, literally. With his newfound abilities, he's also able to sense negative emotions and immediately discovers Kisame, who was sent by Madara to gather intel on the shinobi forces. And so the last remaining Akatsuki goes out on his own terms. He lived like a shark, so he dies like a shark. Without hesitation, Naruto joins the war effort and begins to turn the tide. With his shadow clones, he assists every battlefield and is able to weed out the perfectly disguised clones by sensing their negative emotions. The clones had been infiltrating and thinning out the shinobi forces. They were even able to mimic a person's chakra. At the same time, Sasuke gets accustomed to Itachi's eyes and realizes he's being held prisoner by Madara. Making good on his promise, he goes out to look for Naruto, only to come across a reanimated Itachi. Earlier, a reanimated Nagato and Itachi were sent to take out Naruto, but Itachi managed to free himself from the reanimation jutsu and is now on his way to take out Kabuto. Sasuke follows him in hopes of getting some answers. Finally, as more of the reanimated enemies and clones get taken out, Kabuto and the Masked Man are forced to play their trump cards. Kabuto deploys his secret weapon.
That is Madara Uchiha.
Which begs the question of, who is this then? Whoever the Masked Man is, he deploys his secret weapon too. Using the Rinnegan, he recreates Pain's 6 paths with the deceased Jinchuriki he captured. The Kage insists Naruto takes on the Masked Man. They will take care of Madara. And by they, I mean everyone. And when I say everyone, I do mean though it doesn't take long until Madara decimates the shinobi forces with his prowess. To top it all off, seemingly for fun, he drops a meteorite on them.
Lord Tsuchikage! Everyone, get as far away from here as you can!
Hold on, I got that wrong. He drops 2 meteorites on them.
Just what are you going to do about the second one, Onoki?
As the scale of Naruto Shippuden continues to escalate, reaching a cosmic level in the endgame, the time has come to look at how all the elements we discussed so far were building towards this point. They were meant to bind heaven and earth from the get-go. The yin-yang, the broken Tao, the ultimate fool and his positive feedback loop, the key phrases like will of fire and the key for transformation, they all point at the ideal village. Because the ideal village is not a location, it's a spirit. And to break the cycle of hatred and suffering, one must embody this spirit. The Masked Man is Obito, Kakashi's former teammate, part of Team Minato, which was led by Naruto's father and consisted of Kakashi, Obito and Rin. With Kakashi being the cold-hearted yin, Obito the foolish yang, and Rin the glue that was meant to bring the two together. Obito was also deeply in love with Rin, but always too shy to confess his feelings. Kakashi inherited his philosophy of what it means to be a shinobi from Obito. Obito was considered killed in action during the Third Shinobi World War. His only living legacy is the Sharingan he gave to Kakashi before he was crushed by boulders. In reality, Obito ended up in Madara's cave, where an elderly Madara replaced his damaged limbs, hoping Obito would aid him in creating the ideal dream world. At first, Obito thinks the plan is just nonsense, but that is going to change quickly. Obito and Hashirama are my 2 favorite characters in Naruto. Both are fools with a white casting shadow. But where Hashirama incorporated his to reach for the heavens, Obito was consumed by his shadow, and the shadow reaches all the way down to hell. This was Obito's realization, that he is, in fact, in hell. In order to nudge Obito into the right direction, Madara staged Rin's death at the hands of Kakashi, and so Obito snapped. With this, Madara gained a willing disciple to execute his plans. Nagato was actually supposed to bring back Madara with the Rinnegan, not those killed during Pain's assault. If reality on Earth is hell, then the obvious conclusion is to flee into a dream world. The irony here is that the answer to Obito's despair is part of Sasuke's quest. While Kakashi and Naruto battle Obito, Sasuke and Itachi take out Kabuto. Itachi traps him in an infinite loop with a genjutsu. Only way out for Kabuto is to overcome his own shadow and lay down his arms. Itachi then orders Kabuto to lift the reanimation jutsu. With his final goodbye, Itachi, at long last, tells the truth. Even in his death, Itachi continues to serve the village, explaining that he and Sasuke might have saved their clan if he had spoken the truth. This confuses Sasuke, and in an effort to understand why, he brings back Orochimaru.
And it confirms the worst.
Somehow Orochimaru returned. Long story short, as long as a piece of Orochimaru's soul resides in someone else via the curse seal, Orochimaru can be brought back. Think of it as the shinobi equivalent of Horcruxes. Going through the experience of, well, death by your own disciple has changed Orochimaru. He has developed a genuine curiosity to witness Sasuke's development. Sasuke wants to understand Itachi, but for him to understand Itachi, he must understand what is a village, which is why they return to the Hidden Leaf, and by sacrificing 4 clones, Orochimaru reanimates the first 4 Hokage.
Hokage!
On the battlefront, Madara has managed to free himself from the reanimation jutsu as well. After leaving all 5 Kage for dead, he joins forces with Obito, who also prematurely summoned the Ten Tails. Yeah, things just continue to escalate, and so the entire fate of the world rests on one simple moment: the yin understanding the yang. Sasuke attempts to understand the will of fire by asking the Hokage why the village exists in the first place. If he accepts their explanation, he will join forces with the Hokage and drop into battle as backup. However, if he does not, he will together with the Hokage destroy what is left of the Hidden Leaf. Now, I could simply recap what Hashirama is going to say here, but instead we'll do something different. Remember what I said about the theme in the beginning? It acts like a Russian nesting doll. Our theme is supposed to scale upwards. It has to scale upwards. To understand how and why, I have yet again invited the world-renowned Professor Kermit. He'll help us understand how the spirit of the 6 paths needs to become an embodied identity.
We're at odds with one another about identity, and in order to reduce the tension, we can't merely criticize the suggestions about what identity constitutes that have been brought forward. We have to offer an alternative. What identity must and should be, proposing that the 2 fundamental themes that we would address would be those of faith and responsibility. And I suggested that faith is the kind of courage that allows you to welcome the possibilities of the future with open arms. And I say possibility because the future is the manifestation of possibility into actuality. And we look into the future and we cast upon the unknown landscape of the future a vision that provides us with hope and security, because that's what a vision does. And then we bear the responsibility of attending and acting in a manner that makes that hopeful and security providing vision possible. And then you might say, how does a proper identity unite faith and responsibility? And I would say that it does that in a subsidiary manner, in a hierarchical subsidiary manner. Now I'm going to tell you a little story. It's a very simple story, but simple stories scale upward. And that's Jacob's ladder. Jacob's ladder, that's the eternal liana, the vine that unites the material and proximal realm of the earth with the eternal realm of heaven. How do we construct and climb Jacob's ladder? How do we comprehend it? When my son was 1.5 years old, I taught him to set the table. But that's not right, because when you're 1.5, you can't set the table. If you take a 2-year-old and you say, clean your room, who's in the midst of a room that he's distributed a terrible mess in, and you come back in 15 minutes, the room will be equally messy, and you'll ask your 2-year-old, why didn't you clean the room? And he will just look at you, because he doesn't know what clean your room means. So you can take the 2-year-old and you can say, hey kid, you see that teddy bear? Go over there and pick up that teddy bear. So then he does that and he looks at you, and then you can say, you see that space on the shelf there? He goes, yes. He says, you take that teddy bear and you put it in that space in the shelf. And he'll go over and put it in the space in the shelf, and then he'll look at you and you can pat him on the head. And then if you teach him 100 micro routines like that, very carefully, you can tell him to clean his room and he knows how to do it. And that's how we build ourselves. And that's a little vision. It's a little vision. It's a micro vision that what the room would look like if the teddy bear was put in its proper space. right? And it's not a glorious macro vision of how to unite heaven and earth itself, but it's the proximal beginnings of exactly that process. We scaffold ourselves upward from the finite to the infinite, and it's the entire scaffold that constitutes our identity. So my son, he's 18 months old, I'm having him help set the table. He's learning to set the table, right? And then he sits at the table with the people that are there, and he's learning to share food, and he's learning to take turns, and he's learning to be hospitable, right? And so you can see that that starts to scale upward, right? And that's part of taking his proper role in the family, which is a broader form of sharing, and the beginnings of his ability to play properly with others, and then to take his position as a potential friend in the community, and then to mature. And as he matures, the scale of his vision expands step by step until it encompasses not merely what he wants in the short term, but what would be good for him in the medium to long term. So the temporal scale of his vision expands, and not only so that he accomplishes or attains what's good for him, but so that he does that in a way that incorporates more and more other people into the expanse of his vision. And so by the time you start to operate as an adult, you can take responsibility for yourself, and then you take responsibility for your partner, and they do that with you, and the two of you take responsibility for your children, and that gives you the satisfaction and the adventure and the responsibility and the burden and the meaning of your family, and you embed that in your community, and you take responsibility for that. The spirit that infuses that entire hierarchy and that stands at the top is something like the spirit of goodness itself. And the identity that you have is all of that stretching from lowest to highest at once. You know, we have so many people in the world who are lost in ways that are almost unimaginable with their absolutely fragmented identities, and they have no meaning in their life. And they have no meaning in their life because, strangely enough, the meaning in your life doesn't emerge as a consequence of your pursuit of your proximal, hedonic, subjective, narrow, purely self-serving goals and drives. There's nothing in that that's nourishing, and it's identical with the instruction in misery. And you want to be outside yourself, serving a higher purpose, and maybe you're cynical about that, but you can think about it technically. Well, why do you bring a fork to the table? Well, so that you can put a plate beside it. And why do you put a plate at the table? And it's so that you can set the table to serve your family, to share food, to bring together the people you love in something approximating harmony as a microcosm of the entire cosmic order. And you can replicate that at every level of complexity, all the way up to what's at the pinnacle. You find that meaning in service, and that service is in service of that harmony that makes up the entire Jacob's ladder. Any attempt to circumvent that responsibility merely brings about some oscillating tension between absolute tyranny and utter slavery, right? As a responsible citizen, bearing the weight of the world on your shoulders, you obviate the necessity for the tyrant and the slave. Tilt the world towards heaven and away from hell.
Hashirama and Madara initially founded the village as an antidote to chaos and suffering, tired of the constant fighting and senseless death. You see, the 6 paths, as they appear in Naruto Shippuden, might as well be called Jacob's Ladder. The actual term goes back to Buddhist cosmology. The 6 paths are the 6 worlds where sentient beings reincarnate depending on their karma. As karma is the source of suffering, the goal is to stop the cosmic cycle of suffering by attaining nirvana. That's why it scales upwards. It actually scales across all dimensions, past, present, and future. Hence why I called it a Burkean narrative. The village exists because life is suffering. But what follows are also pitfalls of how to end suffering. Every villain in Naruto is a play on one of these pitfalls. Nagato put suffering on top of everything as the source of community. He tried to break the cosmic cycle artificially and with force. Each pain is actually named after one of the cosmic paths. This is also why I think Kabuto ended up in an infinite loop. He is the most extreme opposite of Naruto. With no sentimental ties and technically an artificial body, Kabuto is the ultimate atomized individual, lacking any sense of self. So the obvious solution is to put him into a loop from which he can only break out of by discovering himself. It always starts with yourself. Naruto aligned himself properly. If life is suffering, then what is the point of it? The point is to align yourself with the spirit that alleviates suffering, to unite heaven and earth, and you do that by embodying the very spirit of all that is good. In this case, the Hokage. Hokage means fire shadow. Fire as in the will of fire, and shadow is just a synonym for spirit. And right at the very first episode, Naruto announced that he will embody the right spirit.
Me, Naruto, the next Hokage, a ninja legend!
Because only the ultimate fool would be dumb enough to think he can break a cosmic cycle. This is why he is the first to befriend all the tailed beasts and learn their names. And this is also how Naruto gets through to Obito. Even after Obito becomes the Ten-Tails Jinchuriki, Obito tried to end suffering by drinking from a poison chalice. But in his past, he too wanted to embody the spirit of the Hokage, to become the Hokage. And like with Nagato, Naruto's actions and words simply remind him of that past. Obito sees a glimmer of the same spirit. And so after a long and difficult journey, the spirit of the Hokage finally reaches Sasuke. He accepts Hashirama's explanation and vows to become the Hokage to honor Itachi. Soon enough, the army of all that is good assembles.
It's about damn time! I've been waiting, Hashirama!
I'll deal with you later. First, I have to stop the Ten-Tails. After all, he's charging right towards us.
Orochimaru saves the 5 Kage, and because Team 7 is now reunited and unified by the spirit of the Hokage, they are able to move heaven and earth by walking the Tao, even overcoming death and decay in various ways. Once Madara betrays Obito to become the Jinchuriki of the Ten-Tails, both Sasuke and Naruto are on the verge of death. It's here that they meet the source of all ninjutsu, Hagoromo, the sage of the 6 paths. They learn that they are the latest reincarnations of his sons, Asura and Indra, Hashirama and Madara being the previous reincarnations. Hagoromo explains that he caused this cycle of hatred by not passing his powers to both his sons. Instead, he only passed it to the Yang, Asura. Intent on not repeating the same mistake, the sage bestows his power and chakra evenly to both. And so when all is lost and the whole world is trapped in a dream, Team 7 stands tall. Now, we have seen what happens to people who embody the right spirit, but what happens to those that do not? And what if the spirit that had been whispering in your ear all these years is not your own will and volition, but that of a demon? A demonic whisper which beckoned you to drink from a poison chalice. Well, for those people, the chickens come home to roost.
It's time you woke up. It's all over.
Wrong, Madara.
A spirit born from the progenitor of all chakra, Kaguya. She used the infinite Tsukuyomi to raise an army by trapping humans and turning them into the white Zetsu we have seen so far. Her 2 half-human sons, one of which is the sage of the 6 paths, sealed her inside the moon after discovering her plans. A lot of people didn't like this twist, but remember what I said in the beginning about Danzo and Kaguya. There are 2 sides of the same coin. Danzo was the tyrannical father, and Kaguya is the devouring mother. If the entire point of the journey is to embody the spirit of the Hokage, the spirit of the Heavenly Father, then it makes sense that the final villain was guided by the spirit of the devouring mother. Why? Because the villain must always be at least as strong as the hero. And evil scales upwards too, well, downwards rather. Plus it explains Madara's actions. A devouring mother infantilizes everything because of an heightened ability to identify predators, meaning anyone who opposes her must be a predator, including her own sons. And what could be more infantilizing than to retreat into a dream world that devours your life energy? Honestly, we don't get enough female villains. Everyone is familiar with how the masculine manifests evil, but only a few are aware of the ways the feminine brings corruption. Just ask any guy with bad dating habits. Harry, he dated a woman with cluster B personality. Don't make the same mistake. And so the fate of the entire human race rests on the shoulders of Team 7. What will the ultimate fool do? Having ascended to near godhood, the options are limitless. As he unites heaven and earth, he will... It's a new sexy jutsu. Come on, what did you think is gonna happen? The fool never changes. Everything was building towards this moment. Team 7 acts in true unison, and so the yin and yang finally come together, physically and metaphorically bound by the glue. And so since Naruto is the one to break the cosmic cycle, he pays attention to the very source of so much suffering, the one who was secretly instigating events across history.
It's time for you to get over yourself!
In the end, Team 7 returns safely and everyone says their final goodbyes. Only thing left to do before the happily ever after is for Sasuke and Naruto to combine their chakra and release the infinite Tsukuyomi. Easy, right? No more surprises, that's it. Yeah, there is a reason the glue keeps getting knocked out. Sasuke seals the tailed beasts away with the intent of killing them together with the 5 Kage, as he blames the Kage for the dire state of the shinobi world. Sasuke fell into the same pitfall as Nagato. In an attempt to imitate Itachi, he put suffering on top of everything. Through a revolution, he wants to pick up and bear all the suffering as the sole Hokage. As this goes against everything that was part of Naruto's journey, we find ourselves yet again at the edge of the world where 2 anime protagonists duke it out while shouting their ideologies at each other. But this time we do discover what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. They were never able to form the unison sign voluntarily, so well, now they do. In what seems like their final moments, the ultimate fool finally gets through to the ultimate cynic. Luckily for them, the glue is there to patch them up. And so Team 7 returns home. Sasuke pays for his crimes by assisting the village from the shadows, and Naruto studies to become the Hokage, ready to embark on a new stage of his life. And that's the storytelling of Naruto. Is it perfect? Well, Naruto's journey is a perfect representation of the fool, but the actual storytelling leaves a few things to be desired. The pacing is all over the place, and I think it's because Kishimoto was producing Naruto issues on a weekly basis, and the anime ran for almost 2 decades on a weekly basis. Hence why we get revisions that feel like retcons. If you have time for a rewrite, you'd simply go back to match everything, because often writers discover the actual story details through the writing process. Also, in my opinion, the Rinnegan should have stayed an act of divine intervention. Additionally, both Naruto and Naruto Shippuden would benefit greatly from an abridged version. Yamato is also absolutely wasted in the war arc, and instead of seeing another filler episode, I think it would have been best to explore Naruto and Hinata's relationship some more. Because by the time I got to the infinite filler arc, I felt like Michael Scott. But Michael Scott as he experiences pain in every language, across all dimensions. So let me know in the comments what you think of my breakdown. Is there anyone who has a better fool's journey than Naruto? And if you have enjoyed this video, consider dropping a super thanks or become a member. Or join my Patreon. I'm offering interesting perks like access to my screenplays. Major League Drones, for example, has been optioned off with a shopping agreement recently. Hopefully this means you only have a limited time to read it because someone else will be its owner soon. Be sure to check out the rest of the first season of Narrative Arcade. And in any case, always remember this. Life is suffering, but Chevapi helps you transcend it through heart disease. If you're still watching at this point in the video, then you know there is only one thing left to do. Someone needs to disarm that jigsaw trap. Alright, let's do it. Okay, the first one should be fairly easy. 999,999. Yeah, that one is easy. That's just 999,999. Alright, that one was fairly easy, I guess. Alright, let's go to the next one. Rindfleisch-Etikettierungsüberwachungsaufgabenübertragungsgesetz. Rindfleisch-Etikettierungsüberwachungsaufgabenübertragungsgesetz. I have no idea what this even means. I can't translate it into English. I can't translate it into English. I have no idea. This is the kind of crap that only government bureaucrats come up with. All right, let's see the next one. Grundstücksverkehrsgenehmigungszuständigkeitsübertragungsverordnung. Grundstücksverkehrsgenehmigungszuständigkeitsübertragungsverordnung. Okay. Oh my god. Alright, next one is Donaudampfschifffahrtselektrizitäten-Hauptbetriebswerk-Bauunternehmer. What? Donaudampfschifffahrtselektrizitäten. Donaudampfschifffahrtselektrizitäten. Okay. Donaudampfschifffahrtselektrizitäten Hauptbetriebswerk Betriebswerk-Bauunternehmen. Oh mein Gott. Betriebswerk-Bau unter. Was? Betriebswerk-Bau unter Beamtengesellschaft. It's just oh my god, it's just ridiculous. Donaudampfschifffahrts Elektrizitäten Hauptbetriebswerk Bau unter Beamtengesellschaft. I don't know if Jigsaw's gonna let this one slide, but let's just say fine. Let's do the last one. Rinderkennzeichnungsfleisch Etikettierungsüberwachungsaufgaben Übertragungsgesetz. Alright. Rinderkennzeichnungsfleisch Etikettierungsüberwachungsaufgaben Übertragungsgesetz.